Hello, students. Welcome to the session one of International Relations of February month. So, we will have two sessions of international relation like every time, right? So, let's start. We'll be discussing some international institutions in this session and the bilateral relations. So, in the session two, we'll be discussing country in the country specific news and some of the initiatives and the programs, right? Starting with IFAD. So IFAD, that is International Fund for Agriculture Development. It is one of the 17 specialized agency of United Nations. Now United Nations, I already told you, United Nations has specific specialized agencies also, right? We have discussed many of the agencies, um, WHO and all. So I also told you in earlier lessons, to segregate the specialized agency and the other agencies, because the UPSC can any day ask in one of the option that it is the specialized agency, then the confusion may be there. So you just need to know which are the 17 specialized agency we have already covered in our previous sessions, right? So this particular is fund for the agriculture development. So just like FAO, its headquarter is in Rome, Italy. Okay, so it was established in 1977 after 1974 seminal World Food Conference. So the idea is to empower the rural people by empowering them to reduce poverty, food security, and increasing resilience in the developing country. It was in the news because it has come up with a report by saying that around millions of the 50 million of the people will be impacted by the climate change. However, with the COVID crisis, again the institute has come into news because now one of the tasks is to ensure the food security, right? Because as you can see in India also, one of the problem, the government has said that food security is not a problem for the government. However, um, starvation, hunger has become an issue because of the enforced lockdown at many places. Next is coalition of the epidemic preparedness innovation. This institution, this becomes really important for this year prelims, because it's an the very idea of this institute is the initiative is the new vaccines for the safer world. Okay, so they have also launched a new call for accelerated COVID-19 vaccine also. Okay, so it's an innovative in global partnership between public, private, philanthropic, and civil society organization. So remember, it's not an UN organization. Okay, it is not an intergovernmental organization. It is just a partnership between various stakeholders. Okay, so it is working to accelerate the development of the vaccine against the emerging infectious diseases. So it was launched at the World Economic Forum in 2017. Very important for prelims. Okay, so you can see in fact India is also there. Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is there. Many of the institutions are supporting Wellcome Trust, World Economic Forum, many of the multi-stakeholder. So the question will come in the negative light that this institution is under the United Nations framework, something like that. So the priority of the area already have been before the COVID-19 MERS, one of the family members of the COVID-19 MERS, right? Nipah, chikungunya, Rift Valley River, and all this. So now they are working for the COVID-19 vaccine. Now, about this, the headquarter is in Oslo, Norway. Apart from the other headquarters are in London and in the Washington DC. And other the you can see the member countries involved. Okay, right. Next is IPSA. So we have discussed BRICS. We have discussed BASIC. So just IPSA was remaining. So I thought let us also cover it. Right. So basic we have covered, BRICS we have covered. So IPSA is remaining. So IPSA, from the name itself, India, Brazil, and South Africa. We also have to cover IPSA because 26th of January, Mr. Bolsonaro, the president of the Brazil, has visited India. So one of the engagement of India and Brazil is the IPSA forum, right? So it is international tripartite grouping for promoting international cooperation between all these three countries. So the Brasilia declaration has led to the formation of the IPSA forum. Okay, many of the declaration, if you remember, of the BRIC summit becomes very important, and few of them have been asked as well. Okay, so the idea is to an important pole for the galvanizing South and South cooperation, greater understanding between the three important continents of the developing world. Asia, obviously, three continents: South America, then Africa, and then Asia. So all the South countries: India, South Africa, and Brazil. Okay, however, the problem with these forums, if that it comes in the mains, so one of the problem is the regular summits are not there. So as much information significance given to the BRIC summit, that much significance is not given to it, right? So India being one of the leaders of this South, so it is incumbent upon India to promote these organization. Next is FATF, very important. So FATF, it's an intergovernmental no, informal and non-permanent organization. It does not have its own secretariat. So its secretariat is at OECD only. So it shares its secretariat with OECD. Okay, it's an initiative of the G7 countries formed in 1989. Okay, so the idea was to combat the anti-money laundering initiatives AML and combat the terrorist financing. Okay, right. So if you are writing about terrorist financing, that is one of the important topics for me. Is also you have to tell the about FATF and its many of the recommendations. So it has a specific 49 recommendation, for 49 for money laundering and 9 for the terrorist financing. So it has 39 members. Out of 39, 37 are the countries, 2 are European Union and Gulf Cooperation Council. Both of issues we have seen. European Council, European Union we have seen in detail, and the Gulf Cooperation Council we have also already discussed. So if you want to see what we have already done, please go to the previous session, download the PDFs and PPTs from our Amrita channel, right? So you can download all the international affair PDFs and you can revise right from that, so that you don't need any compilation. These are already in the compiled form, right? It was in the news because Pakistan again went read to the grey list. Now it was expected that Pakistan can go to the black list, so they maintain two sort of lists. We will discuss that. Okay. So how FATF operates, it can be a more main centric, however. So it monitors the progress of the member countries in terms of how they are recommending, how they are functioning with respect to the money laundering, terrorist financing, the recommendation. It helps the national level vulnerabilities. So if there are any national vulnerabilities, so it helps with the state level institutions to work out a mechanism, right? So two lists is publishes, blacklist and grey list. So the blacklist, only two countries are there. So what happens when countries are listed as grey list or blacklist? So basically a lot of sanctions and peer reviews, peer pressure is applied on them. Okay, so it increases the cost of the business with the company. Due diligence are there. For example, there is no loan from IMF, no loan from World Bank. So these are sanctions kept on those countries so that they should take measures. Similar happened to Pakistan also. One important thing you need to remember, that grey list. We will discuss the grey list and blacklist, the member country in that. Grey list also known as the other monitored jurisdiction. So the UPSC can also ask this: what are the other monitored jurisdiction? Okay, so this is nothing but grey list. So these are the countries which are currently in the grey list, along with the Pakistan, which are the other countries. So some of the countries: Bahamas, Botswana in South Africa, Botswana, Zimbabwe. So two of the South African countries, right? Ghana is there. Okay, Cambodia is there. Myanmar is there. So Myanmar you can remember, right? Pakistan is already there. If they ask question, they'll ask a tough question. Okay. So yeah, Mongolia is there. Trinidad and Tobago is there. Yemen is there. Yemen is there. Iceland is there. Okay, very interesting countries. Mongolia is there. Some Central African countries there. So please remember these countries. Okay. And these two countries are in the blacklist, Iran and the North Korea. So someone is saying that Pakistan can go to the blacklist, however, they did not. Okay, so they are in somewhere called dark gray list. So no, it's still some people are saying that between gray list and the blacklist, there is called dark gray list. Okay, so if Pakistan continues to be in the grey list or put in dark grey list, it will be difficult for country to get the financial aid from the, as we discussed, IMF, World Bank, European Union and all this. Okay, so dark grey means obviously from grey to black, in between that. So countries which are not doing, not following the recommendations fully. For example, Pakistan did some of the things but have not cracked down fully on the terrorist financing. For example, they kept the Hafiz Saeed, they rearrested him, right? However, some more stringent actions are required on the Pakistan's front. Next is United Nations University Institute for Water, Environment and the Health. So why they're in the news? Because they come up with an study on the wastewaters. That how much resources we waste on the wastewater. Okay. For example, they say if wastewater, if we use, a lot of nutrients are there in the wastewater, it can offset around 13.4% of the demand of the fertilizer. right? It can generate up to the 158, means 15 crore people or 16 crore people can get electricity if we can utilize that wastewater. So as we are going into an era which is water deficient or water starved in many of the cases, then we must focus on reutilizing all these wastewater. Okay, so this institute is a UN think tank on water, and it creates, in the vision is to create world free of water problems. So one of the solution they have touted is the wastewater. Next is CGIAR, Consultative Group on the International Agricultural Research. So they were in the news because they had some sort of big data conference on the agriculture in India. Not very important for UPSC, right? However, we have to cover it. So it's a global partnership that unites the international organization engaged in the research for a food secured future partnership of funders and international agriculture organization, right? Okay, so they try to solve complex problem as we discussed using the AI, big data, all this new frontier technology to help boost the agricultural production in a sustainable way. So, which is the institute in India which is responsible? We have already discussed that this is particular institute situated in Hyderabad, International Crop Research Institute for the Semi-Arid Tropics. I told you this institute is very important, right? Uh, I think more or less its location is important, but UPSC has stopped asking question on the institute and its location. Okay, so obviously the idea is to dedicate rural poverty, food security, human health and nutrition, and all these things. Okay, so let's move forward. UNHRC. So UNHRC is basically UN agency, one of the UN agency, very interesting agency. So why it was in the news? Because the US has quit UNHRC, and India is a member of it. Okay, so so the UNHRC member elected by the General Assembly on the 3-year term, maximum of the 2 consecutive terms. So maximum you can have only 2 consecutive terms, right? You can have more than 2 terms, obviously, but at max you can have 2 consecutive terms. So it's an elected body. So for example, this is the current tenure. Just like Rajya Sabha, not all the countries are having the same year by year tenure. So election keeps on happening every year, right? So 3-year tenure is there. So every year some countries go out and some countries come in. And India is right there. Okay, so our tenure will end at 2021. So now why US has withdrawn from it? Now, before this Human Rights Council has come, it was United Nations Commission for Human Rights. Okay, now that was some of the people have questioned its mandate or questioned its working, that you have elected some of the countries which have very poor human rights violation record. Okay, however, this particular new body that is formed, Human Rights Council, they already have very poor. For example, in 2013 they have countries like China, Russia, Saudi Arabia, Algeria, Vietnam. Now they are said to be one of the human rights violators. China, Uyghur Muslims; Saudi Arabia, in Yemen, in Algeria, in Russia. So they themselves do not follow the human rights properly. So how can they be the member of the UNHRC? Secondly, US also says that they have an anti-Israel bias. What they say? They say that they come up with many of the resolution against Israel. For example, Israel's unilateral strikes on Gaza Strip or the West Bank. Okay, now United Nations says that you have member like Venezuela. For example, Venezuela is a member. You can see if here. So Venezuela is a member, currently a member. They're saying you are doing nothing against a country like Venezuela, but you are raising stands after stand, resolution after resolution against a country like Israel, which is one of the deepest friends and allies of the USA. So how is this possible? This is a double standard. This is a bias in this institute, and we cannot pay on. We cannot be part of this particular institute, right? Obviously, then the happy Israeli leadership. It was last year, last year. So Israel thanks President Trump and Secretary Pompeo and Ambassador Haley. She is not no longer the ambassador, for their decision to go out of the Human Rights Council. Right, that is one of the institute. Now, second institute is Office of the Human Rights High Commission. Now, this institute office often remains in news in the Indian newspaper because of its stand on the Kashmir issue. Okay, so it's a part of the UN Secretariat. So it promotes and protects all the people and all this human rights. It founded in 1993, so older than UNHRC. Okay. So this has a mandate. All these the Charter of United Nations, not very important. Universal Declaration of the Human Rights and all this. So yeah, this is fine. This is there. So UNHRC, not UNHRC, OHCHR versus United Nations Human Rights Council. So please do not confuse between the two. In fact, one of the option is do not confuse between the two. Right? In one of the newspaper also has come that it is UN. This is OHCHR which reports against the Kashmir, and our MEA has to tell that okay, this is not done. What you are doing is not done. You are interfering in our sovereignty. Kashmir is an internal issue and all this. Right? UNHCR, we are already a part of it. Okay, right. Next is the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth is a voluntary association of the 54 independent and equal countries. So first of all, remember it's a voluntary association. The Commonwealth, you must remember, you may be remembering the one of the people say it is a new colonialism, right? So they are the group of the former colonies. So whenever Commonwealth game happens, one of the article also come that they are the symbol of the colonial era, right? However, all the countries do not have the historical ties to the British Empire. For example, Rwanda and Mozambique. In fact, Rwanda is the latest country to get into Commonwealth, and Mozambique is, and these two countries do not have the ties to the British Empire. So remember, not all the countries are having a British colonial history. Okay, so all the countries subscribe to the Commonwealth Charter. India is obviously a member right from the start. I was reading in my optional. I was reading in PSIR optional that Nehru was in the favor of joining the Commonwealth, and he was, in fact, he was very much criticized that why we want to continue with our association with the Commonwealth. He said that because of the element of the continuity, because our military, our education system, many of the institutions are having a relation with the British, and obviously, secondly, we do not follow the policy of the retribution, right? The whole idea of NAM, the whole idea of Panchashil tolerance, all this, it goes to show that we want to cooperate. Okay, right. Now, Commonwealth was in the nation. It was in the news because Maldives has recently joined. Now, India has pushed for the Maldives to join. Okay, before that, so remember also the Pakistan is a member of the Commonwealth. Now, it has a very long history of being suspended, again rejoining, and finally 2008 they have rejoined. Okay, so remember the Pakistan is in there. Then many of the country, Myanmar is not there. If the question will be asked, they will ask you about the neighbors, whether the neighbors are part of the Commonwealth or not. That will be a tough question because Commonwealth is not a very common grouping, very informal grouping, right? No Nepal, no Bhutan, Maldives is there, Sri Lanka is there. So please remember these things. In fact, Sri Lanka was a few years back because of the civil war and the human rights violation. Commonwealth, many people have appealed for the Commonwealth to suspend the Sri Lankan from the Commonwealth. Okay. Now, India has been pitching for the Maldives to rejoin the Commonwealth. So, Maldives itself has taken themselves out of the Commonwealth because Commonwealth have criticized the way the transition of the leadership happened in 2012, 2013. Not going into that history of Maldives, but Maldives now has become the part of the Commonwealth. Okay, right. So it has a history before 1947, before all the colonial things happened. Balfour Declaration is also associated with it. Then it is second largest intergovernmental organization behind the United Nations, represented by the people. Okay, okay. So they have a secretariat, foundation, and learning, all these things. Now we are done with the international institutions for the particular month. Now we'll discuss some of the bilateral ones. Okay. Starting with India Central Asia Business Council. So recently launched in the New Delhi. So the idea is to promote the business of the India and the Central Asian countries. So who have organized it? Ministry of External Affairs along with the FICCI. So Central Asia, the 5 members are the 5 Tans: Tajikistan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, Kazakhstan, and the Kyrgyzstan. So council will act as a common forum for the businesses of the Central Asia and the India. So also remember these 5 countries, right? Any day map can be asked. They can ask you to arrange the capitals north to south, or they can ask you straight away the capitals itself. Because Central Asia is part of India's extended neighborhood, right? So it is also one of the priority areas of the Modi government to push our relations into Africa, Latin America, and Central Asia. Okay, so Kazakhstan, Astana, Uzbekistan, Tashkent, Turkmenistan, Ashgabat. Ashgabat agreement we will read today. Tajikistan, Dushanbe, Kyrgyzstan, Bishkek. You have to make some small stories to remember this. Okay, right. So yeah, so our business is very less than $2 billion, and China is making huge strides into Central Asia because they have some sort of physical connection also here, right? You can see here, in India does not have a physical connectivity with the Central Asia. That is one of the key problems, and that is why we are making the Chabhar port and all this to get entry into the Central Asia. We have signed many international North-South corridor. We have already discussed Ashgabat agreement. We will discuss today. So they have discussed in this particular business council. They discussed the idea of to establish the air corridors. Okay, and Tapi pipeline we already discussed. Tapi pipeline is obviously a pending issue between those two, right? Some news about the Central Asia. So on January 19, like way back past year, so they had the first ministerial level summit. It is very important. Why? They can ask you the question that we had the second ministerial level conference or the third ministerial conference or the conference started in 2014. No, that is wrong. We had our first ministerial level conference in 2019. Why ministerial level becomes important? Because we already discussed in 2+2 dialogue, while discussing in a 2+2 dialogue, why the ministerial level becomes important, not the official level. Now at the official level, the secretaries and the these IS officers of both the countries meet. IS officer means their civil servants. Ministerial level, when the people meet, then it becomes more of an important nature, right? And that is why you need to focus on it. So at the first time we are discussing it at the ministerial level. Next, Ashgabat agreement. So Ashgabat, capital of the Turkmenistan. So which are the countries a part of it? IITUKO, that is the code. So IIT means India, Iran, Turkmenistan, Uzbekistan, Kazakhstan, and Oman. Please remember the country Oman. That is out of sorts basically. Remember, all not Tans are not here. Okay, so Tajikistan and Kyrgyzstan are not here. So it's basically a multimodal transport agreement to improve the connectivity with the Central Asia. Okay, Central Asia with the Persian Gulf. So they want to connect it. Okay, so corridor is a multimodal, will consist of the road, rail, and the sea transport. Okay, so India has acceded to the Ashgabat agreement. We have not acceded now. It has been a long time pending. Like we have acceded in 2018, but Ashgabat agreement always remains in news. Also, it is one of the forum with which we associate ourselves with the Central Asia also. Okay, so that is there. Secondly, Ashgabat agreement is also asked in the mains examination, right? So they have already asked Ashgabat agreement. So just to reiterate, just one second, just to reiterate, which are the countries associated with Ashgabat agreement? So Oman, Ashgabat, Turkmenistan, this is Uzbekistan, then Kazakhstan. Okay, now India also. Iran obviously is there. So all you must be knowing Chabhar port, then entry into the Central Asia. That is why Iran is very important for us. So Tapi pipeline, we already discussed Tapi pipeline coming from the Turkmenistan Galkansh gas field to India's Fazilika, passing through the Baluchistan region of the Pakistan and then coming to India. Also, Russia is very hopeful for India to join Eurasian Economic Union. So we have already read about this Eurasian Economic Union. So please remember, right? Eurasian Economic Union, this Ashgabat agreement, this SCO, how many countries are common, which are the different countries, because they can ask you this question. They can ask you an integration of the international institution. They may not ask a single institution, but they can ask institution of different dimensions, and they can ask you which is the common country among these things. Okay, so that is the exercise that should be done on your front. So if you do these exercises, I'm telling you, no one can beat you in this game, right? Because this is all you need. This is at maximum UPSC can ask. Okay, so Russia wants India to become the part of the to have a free trade agreement at least with the EAU or EEU, whatever the same name is there. Okay, so also I told you the code also BRAC: Belarus, Armenia, Kazakhstan, Russia, and Kyrgyzstan. Then we'll discuss something about India-Myanmar relationship. So Myanmar president was there in India, so they have signed some of the agreements. Myanmar, and geographically, four of the states of India are having sharing the boundary with Myanmar. That is Arunachal Pradesh, Nagaland, Manipur, and Mizoram. Remember, Tripura is not sharing any boundary, and neither Assam. Okay, right. So this Myanmar is part of the ASEAN, BIMSTEC, and Mekong Ganga Cooperation. We already discussed BIMSTEC and Mekong Ganga Cooperation. ASEAN also we have discussed. We have gone through a length, right? In international relations, we have covered too much. So if you want to revise it for the mains also, we have covered a lot of territory in international relation. Specific every year, every month, we have dedicated 1 hour to international relation. Right. So no other country is committed. India has a very high grant in aid program for the Myanmar. And we had 2019, we had a landmark defense cooperation agreement with the Myanmar also. Now, talking about the defense cooperation, for example, we will discuss in defense cooperation why it is important. Before that, some connectivity projects with Myanmar are really important. Why? Because Myanmar is our gateway to the Southeast Asia. It is a cornerstone. These connectivity projects are cornerstone to our Act East Asia policy. Okay, so they are gateway to our Act East Asia policy. Okay, very important. So that is why these connectivity project, for example, this one, IMT, India, Myanmar, Thailand, this corridor, very, very small. For example, Kaladan multimodal, we have already seen. I've kept the slides. Then small roads. This can be asked. So road, for example, Tamu Kaleva Road, Kaleva, this Yargi corridor, so, Right Dim Road. So all these are cooperation among India and Myanmar. So they can ask you this question, they can ask you this road, then I can ask you, it is with respect to India, Bangladesh, India, China, or India, China, so it was India, Nepal, or India, Myanmar. Okay. Now Kaladan multimodal, we have already done. I've kept in the revision slides, I've kept it. So Kalidan multimodal process, if you have not read, go out and revise it, I think in the June or the September month. So having a sea route, then river route, then some inland waterway and some road route. So I was talking about the defense agreement or military cooperation. So basically a problem is there, you must be reading the Nagaland, Greater Nagaland demand. So many of the tribes share the same tribes live both the sides of the, just 1 second. I'm sorry, these some exercise notification come. I'm really sorry. Right. So talking about the, we're talking about, yes. So we are talking about the border. So Greater Nagaland problem, that Nagaland has, people as share both the sides. Okay. Now when they share both the sides, then it becomes a issue because they tend to come from here and there. Okay. And that is why we need to, the government faces a problem in deciding the area. Okay. So that is why the problem of the Naga insurgency is also there, because they believe that this artificial demarcation of the boundary is not their traditional way of living. Okay. And that is why we face a lot of problems. So this is NSCNK. This is one of the rebel groups. So they make their, whenever the Indian army comes from there, they shift to this. Whenever the Myanmar army comes from them, they shift to this. So change their bases, right? And that is why cooperation on the defense field is a requirement. Okay. And that is a FMR is also there. We will discuss FMR. So they have made, India and Myanmar have also signed some land border agreement for FMR, free movement regime, so that these people can easily transport under the authenticated information. Okay. Right. So some more details about the Indian Myanmar. For example, India is the 5th largest trading partner of Myanmar. Right. Some of the other things are there on the cultural basis. For example, India is taking some initiatives for restoration of the Ananda temple in Bagan and donation for replica. Okay, but however, this is not important because these are not in current affairs. Okay. Right. Then I was talking about the free movement regime. So free movement regime becomes very important because, as I told you, that India-Myanmar border. So they have allowed systemized FMR. So they want to do it, because when it is not systemized, then what happens? The terrorist in the form of the tribes that we are meeting our relatives to the other side of the border, they take sanctuary from the other country, and this is not what we want, right? So they have made a 16-kilometer boundary. Okay, without visa restriction, they can go from this place to this place. So the question on the prelims will come on a very simple basis: free movement regime associated with this country, right? and then they'll ask very easy questions. This right redeem road, all these are connected with which country. So prepare it on a shallow level and prepare horizontally. I told you many of the times, right? For example, this one, India economic strategy. So India economic strategy is with the Australia. Australia has come up with a document that we have to make inroads into the Indian market, because Indian market promises such a future that no other market promises. Okay, and they say that the third largest trading partner is India. They want to make it to the third largest. Okay, and majority of the trade is dominated by the coal and the hydrocarbons. Okay, so challenge has been to transform this people to people type into trade relationship. Okay, that is first thing. Then problem faced by many of the companies of India, for example, Adani problem in the coal project in the Queensland. That is also problem. So one of the diplomat in Australia said that the no single market over the next 20 year will offer more growth opportunity than it is provided in the India. Okay, so idea is to make India into the inner circle of the Australia's its strategic partnership. Now Australia also, you remember, part of the Quad. We've also already read that India and Australia are elevating their defense ties or strategic ties, so that is also there. So keep that in mind. Then India Norway task force on the blue economy. So India Norway, not very important to be honest. This happened in February. So India Norway came together for some blue economy sustainable development. Nothing very important. Adu Atoll. So it is the we have already discussed the location of Adu Atoll. So we are discussing basically India Maldives relationships. Okay. So we India and Maldives have signed the 5 MOU for establishing the Ado tourism zone in five island of the Adu Atoll. So they are setting up a water bottle plant at the Hora Funshi. So please remember these name. Okay. Hora Funshi. Because they can give you 3 names. They can ask you in which country they are there, or they can ask you to arrange. So these are projects, all these parts, for example, small part, for example, having a bottled water plant or developing a tourism zone. All these are in the these are called high impact community development schemes. Now, just to discussing something about the mains, some analysis part. Now, many of the commentators and diplomats have said that India should invest in these high impact community development projects rather than heavy infrastructure project that China undertakes. Why? Having these projects in these countries, for example, Maldives, Central Asia, Afghanistan, it helps to connect a better people to people connect, or creates a good image of India in the minds of the Maldives people, or in any case, Afghanistan people or Central Asia people. So in any case, any regime changes happen, then these high impact community projects are a way in which India can communicate that we are helping directly to the people. Or the regime changes happen, infrastructure project become installed because they're very high intensive, and also India specializes in this. We have our own we do it in our own country, so we have a specialization in it. So we should focus on these high community development projects, so they are driven by the needs of the community rather than the supply driven. Okay, so Adu Atoll, it's one of the southernmost atoll of the Maldives. We'll see the location. We have already seen the location of Adu Atoll. So this is Adu Atoll. It is below the equator. So remember, equator crosses the whole line of the Maldives. Okay, right. So India's development assistant are basically one of the 2 initiatives through which India helps in the development partnership. First is India UN Development Partnership Fund. So they have a dedicated facility within the United Nations Development Fund for the South-South cooperation. So the same thing, South-owned, led, demand-driven, transformational, sustainable development. I think now you know the idea of the demand-driven, right? Next is ITEC. This was very important. They have already asked question on it. So it started in 1960s. Okay. So currently done by the Development Partnership Administration in the MEA, Ministry of External Affairs. They have components like capacity building, disaster relief, right? So deputation, some of the engineers from India go to that place and like this. Okay, so India offers ITEC to many of the African countries, Central Asia and all this. Right, so a relatively longer session. Now let us wind it up. We started with the institutions, that is IFAD, Specialized Agency of United Nations, right? International Fund for the Agriculture Development. Then CEP, I told you, very important institution. New Vaccine for the Safer World. Then IPSA Forum, Then FATF we have discussed other monetary jurisdiction, that gray list, black list. Then some of the water think tank, United Nations think tank on water. Then one of the institution not very important. Then difference between UN HRC versus United Nation, sorry, OHCHR, Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Human Rights. Then Commonwealth we have discussed. Commonwealth, remember the new country Maldives that has joined, and I told you many of the countries around the India. Please remember that. Then on the bilateral front, we have discussed India Central Asia relationship, where many aspects. Ashgabat, Tapi pipeline we have revised. India Myanmar FMR free movement regime, right? Many of the recent connectivity projects that India and Myanmar have signed. India economic strategy, India and Australia and India and Norway, some blue economy sustainable development initiative. Then Edu et al. In the Maldives, one of the India's endeavor or strive for the having the high impact community development schemes in majority of the countries. And we have discussed two of the initiatives also. So with this, we finish our first session of IR1. Okay, so we have discussed international institutions and we have discussed bilateral relationships. In the part 2, we'll discuss some country specific news and some of the country specific news and initiatives and the programs on international front. Okay, so with this we finish our session. See you in the next class. Thank you everyone. Please download all the PDFs from Amrita Telegram channel. You will find all the PDFs of previous months and this month on this particular channel. Bye bye everyone.